So, where are we here? You can start wherever we left off.
Okay, yeah, thank you. MashaAllah. I'm not. Sheikh, just whilst we're on this topic, can I ask you a question before we move on?
Yeah.
Um, uh, s- do you know what would I'm just trying to think. So, when you have converts, and so for example, you have a new Muslim, and they were used to kind of mixing their clothes which had najasa on it in the washing machine, and that najasa gets spread onto hanging racks and a whole load of other things. How would they? How what kind of rulings could they rely on
Okay.
the
Usually, the washing machine is going to purify the clothing, um, because what will happen is that you have some clothing with najas on them. You put them into the washing machine. The washing machine fills up. It's not two kullets of water. It's a
yeah,
little bit of water, and therefore contaminates all the water, which is contaminating all of the clothing. But then what happens is that that water drains out, and then fresh water comes in, which is a rinse. This rinse is going to purify all the clothing. Now, if the trace of the najasa is gone altogether, if the bulk of the najasa and its traces are gone after this, then it's pure. But even if you pulled out a piece of clothing and you saw a najasa stain there, it's not going to mean that all the clothes are najasa. Because when the rinse came in, the rinse was not collecting. So it's just spraying down the water, the clothes, and rinsing the najasa from it actually. Except for whatever spot remained. Then it's going to be najasa.
yeah. Wow. Okay. 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 Yeah. I wasn't 100% sure how that's how washing machines work. Okay.
Yeah, that's important.
Sure.
A lot of people need this one clarified for them.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. I'd been the only reason I was asking that was because it was something similar, I suppose, with my home where my two young boys, they soiled their clothes, but my parents unknowingly they used the washing machine to wash their clothes, and then they've subsequently used it many times. So I was thinking, anything they used subsequently, would have been, given that it was less than two qullas, that it would have been contaminated in mass.
Uh huh. Yes. No,
Um,
mashallah. The rinse cycle is going to purify that.
okay.
As long as there's no trace of najasa left after that.
Yeah. 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 So that's how washing machine ones exist. So the first one is with the soap, and then the second one is just water on its own.
Yeah, and I think they have more than one rinse cycle too.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
I can go back to using that washing machine again.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah,
Allah
alhamdulillah.
yassir.
Barakallah feek.
Amin wa fikum.
بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. It says, moreover, the water must not have been used already in clearing someone of a ritual impurity, hadath, and it must not have been used to remove a najas filth. It says, explanation, water that was previously used to clear a ritual impurity loses its attribute of purifying. Hmm.
Hmm.
Uh,
Okay,
it says, yeah.
1 second here. So, moreover, the water must not have been used already in clearing someone of ritual impurity. Question for you. If the water is used, if it is used, then uh, so it's a little bit broad question. If the water is used, then what for sure is the case of this water?
If
If we
if
confirm that this water is used, they're going to say this is confirmed used water,
yeah,
musta'mal, religiously musta'mal. Then what must be the case of this water?
if if the used water uh if it lose is if it I'm trying how to articulate it.
So
Uh
hold on a second. Once we say it's used, means you can't use it again.
yeah,
That's a given. So I'm not looking for this.
yeah.
It's used. We can't use it again. But the question is that we are saying for sure it's used. It has the judgment, the hukum of being musta'mal, used. Then if this is the case, it must be, I'll tell you the answer. It must be that this water is a small amount of water.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah.
A large amount of water will never have the judgment of being used. That's clear?
Yeah.
No. So, water, moreover, the water must not have been used already. Yani, if it were, it was a small amount. In clearing someone of ritual impurity, and it must not have been used to remove najis filth. Meaning, there's two cases when the water becomes unusable. Yani, non-purifying. Non-purifying. Let me not say unusable here. Let me say non-purifying. There are two cases when the water becomes non-purifying. One, without becoming filthy, though. Not talking about najasa here. Two cases when the water becomes non-purifying but remains pure. One, if you used it, and one, if it changed. Okay, we're not talking about change right here. We're talking about just being used. Moreover, the water must not have been used. So if you used it, then that has two cases. So you have two branches here. First two branches, used water, changed water. Let's remove changed for the moment. Used water. Used water has two branches. Used to lift hadath, used to remove najas. The explanation, water that was previously used to clear a ritual impurity loses its attribute of purifying. Yes, it remains pure, yani doesn't become filthy, but is no longer purifying. Yani it's not a purifier anymore. No longer purifying water. Uh, yeah, go ahead.
It says it remains pure, tahir, but is no longer purifying, mutahir, water.
مطهر شد on the hat.
Oh, sorry.
مطهر.
Mutahhir.
Mhm.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. It says, so the little water used, okay, yeah, it says this. So the little water used to perform the integrals of wudu or ghusl remains pure, but is not purifying.
Yes, not a lot of water, the little water.
Yeah.
A lot of water, you can use it over and over and over again. A lot of water will never have the judgment of being used. Uh, and so, why is the water no longer purifying after using it to lift the religious impurity, like we mentioned? Because when you apply the water with an intention, the water, first of all, it has by default a purifying power. When you apply it to the organ with an intention, then the water will take the impurity out of your organ, and the organ takes the purifying power out of the water. There's an exchange there. So when the water falls from your organ, Yani, it takes, when you apply it with an intention, it takes the impurity out of the organ, and when it falls from the organ, it falls having lost its purifying power because the organ took the purifying power out of the water. That's how the organ became pure. That's clear?
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead.
It says, if the water poured on a najas filthy place purifies it without the water being changed, the water remains pure. Okay.
Okay, this is the second case. The case of removing najasa by a small amount of water. But remember, we're saying here the water is not contaminated. We are not talking about
Yeah.
contaminated water now. So, this is an important case to understand because we're talking about najasa and we're talking about a small amount of water. How are we putting a small amount of water with najasa and the outcome is that the water is not filthy? You know the answer?
Sorry, say that one more time.
Yes. We right here, we talk about najis filth here. If
Yeah.
we poured water on a najis filthy place, yani if we back up, we
Yeah.
can see here. Moreover, the water must not have been used already in clearing someone of ritual impurity, hadath, and it must not have been used to remove a najis filth. Meaning, if it were used to lift a ritual impurity, then it's used now. You
Yeah.
can't use it again, but it's still pure. And if it were used to remove a najis filth, what we are saying here is that it's used now and it's still pure, not contaminated.
Even if it loses some of its like contamination, like the taste, color, or smell.
Then it's going to be
Yeah.
what? Changed.
Okay.
We're not talking about changed water.
Yeah.
So we're just talking about used water.
Okay.
Used water in this second case, so used water has two branches. Either you used it to lift a hadath or you used it to remove a najas.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
we want to focus on this second case. You used the small amount of water to remove a najas. For sure, we're talking about a small amount of water because we're talking about used water. A large amount of water will never have the judgment of being used water. So we're talking about a small amount of water here. But we're also talking about najasa here.
Hmm.
We are using a small amount of water to clean najasa. So now the question is, how are we talking about a small amount of water and najasa, and the outcome is that the water is not contaminated? How can
Hmm.
this be? Do you know the answer?
I mean, it mentions the fact that it was poured there.
Correct.
Hmm.
Because in this case, in order for the water to not become contaminated, you must pour it over the najasa because it's a little bit of water. When you have a little bit of water and you pour it over najasa, then you look, is the spot cleared in the first place? Yes, let's say. Yes. Did the water change? Let's say no. Did the water get heavier? Let's say no. Then the outcome is that this runoff water remains pure, but is no longer purifying.
What's the heavier? Sorry, you said heavier?
Yes. Like, let's say the water was originally, uh, do you use ounces?
Uh, we use
How do you
grams.
measure water?
Uh, we use grams.
Okay, so let's say the water was, I don't know grams very well, 5 grams. Okay, so you use 5 grams of water to clean a spot of najasa. You poured that 5 grams on the spot. Now, let's say the spot is cleared. And let's say the color, taste, and smell didn't change. But let's say also you were able to determine, after you consider how much water the surface absorbed, and after you consider the debris that the water picked up, he said, I started with 10 grams. I have 9.5 grams of water here. This water got heavier.
Got it.
After I have considered how much the surface absorbed and how much degree is picked up, this water being 9.5 grams here means it actually got heavier. Then this means that it's najasa. So if it didn't change, if number one, if the spot is cleared, number two, it didn't change, number three, it did not get heavier, then that runoff water is still pure. Okay. So in other words, also, when does a small amount of water become contaminated? When the najasa gets into the water.
Hmm.
So there's a difference between the
Yeah.
water coming over the najasa and the najasa coming over the water. Whichever one comes over the other is the stronger one. Now, so we were here. If the water poured on a najis filthy place purifies it without the water being changed, the water remains pure. Did you read this part?
Uh, yes. Yes.
However, it is no longer, excuse me, it is no longer purifying. Why? Because it's used. Not because it's changed, because it's used. That's clear?
Yeah. I'm just thinking about it. Just thinking about in terms of so in terms of when performing istinja, I
Mhm.
suppose the water touches the hand first. I suppose even when yeah, I'm just thinking a bit when it becomes used water in the sense when if so yeah, I mean I suppose when we're doing wudu and we use our hands, the water is touching our hands first and then we direct it towards our face and things like that. So um yeah, so it would just be useful to know because I suppose the water falls on our hands first and then we redirect it. So I know it's not classed as used water, but just want to know how. Uh, yeah. If I'm just thinking, if say for example, when we're doing wudu and we wash our hands first, so that our hands are clean, and then we use the other kind of integrals using our hands, but the water falls on our hands first. So, but I suppose by that point, yeah, just yeah.
So you're referring to after making istinja.
Or I suppose even making istinja. So, if the water, I'm just thinking, does the water directly need to land on the area of the filth, and what if it hits the hand first? Um,
While
uh,
making istinja.
yeah, yeah. I think I need to
Okay.
articulate my question better, but yeah.
So then this question here has nothing to do with the wudu. Yani, when making istinja, first of all, it's not permissible to, there's a consensus that it is forbidden to stain oneself with urine. This ijma. Therefore, how would you use your hand when making istinja with water? It must be that the water is that your hand is not touching the najasa without the water pouring at the same time. You do not touch the najasa, the urine in particular. You do not touch it without the water pouring at the same time. Because it is forbidden to stain oneself with urine by consensus. Yani, what this means, this statement means, the scholars differed about other types of najasa. Is it permissible to deliberately touch najasa that's not urine? Some scholars said, yeah, it's permissible to deliberately touch najasa that's not urine. But all of them said you cannot touch urine on purpose. You cannot contaminate yourself with urine. That's consensus. Because of the hadiths about the case of urine.
Okay. Okay.
So then when you're making istinja with water and you want to use your hand, then in order for that to be permissible, the water must be poured at the same time of contacting the area. Yani, don't contact the area without the water pouring there. Okay. So then one's going to be pouring the water and using his hand to rub the najasa off. So then what's going to probably happen most of the time is that he's going to pour the water and use his hand until he thinks, this is the obligation, until he thinks the najasa is gone. When he thinks the najasa is gone, then, for example, when he just has some pour of water over that on his finger, then he's good. Yani, just like that najasa is gone from his organ, it's going to be gone off his finger too. So then that's done. And then when he makes wudu, there is no connection.
Okay. And just with regards to the wudu, because I mean this says it says moreover the water must not have been used already in clearing someone of ritual impurities or hadath,
Mhm.
and it must not have been used to remove a najis filth. So I suppose when someone is not in a state of major ritual impurity, and they don't have najis filth,
Mhm.
so then they're in a state where even if they, because I'm just thinking when the first integral of making the intention of washing the face according to Imam Shafi'i, they're still using the hand, so the water comes on the hand. So, but given the fact that there's no najis there and there's no ritual impurity, that's not considered as used water then.
Correct.
Okay.
Like a person is just refreshing his wudu, he never broke the first one, he's making another one on top of it.
Hmm.
Then no used water here. Or a person does not require a ghusl, but he does the ghusl of Jumu'ah. So there's no religious impurity here. When the water falls from his body, it's still purifying.
Ah, subhanallah, really? Oh,
Yes.
wow. Okay.
Won't be used because there's no religious impurity that was lifted.
Yeah, yeah, subhanallah. Okay.
Do you recall the definition of purification according to Imam An-Nawawi? He said it's
Ugh,
four things.
yeah. I think you told me,
Raf'ul
yeah.
hadath, lifting impurity. Izalatun najas, removal of filth. أو ما في معناهما, or what replaces them. أو على صورتهما, or what looks like them. Lifting impurity, removing filth. What replaces those two and what looks like those two? That's purification. Lifting impurity, what's that? Two things.
Uh, wudu and ghusl.
Wudu and ghusl. Removing filth, what's that going to include? Istinja,
Ninja.
dog filth removal. Yani 7 washes, 1 time with soil. That goes there. Removing filth. And any other rules of filth. Detectable filth, undetectable filth, excused filth, unexcused filth goes there. Also, the case of a person who has incontinence. He has issue here because it's dealing with najasa. The case of woman with vaginal bleeding. There's issues here because we're dealing with najasa. So, purification is 4 things. Lifting impurity. Removal of filth. Or what replaces those two? What replaces lifting impurity? You recall?
Tayammum?
Tayammum. What replaces removal of filth?
Uh, isn't the process?
Istinja by stone.
Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah.
Why? Why istinja by stone is a replacement for removing
Oh,
the filth? Why is it called a replacement here?
is it because the traces remain that can only
Yes,
be cleared
because
by
it
water?
leaves traces. But it's valid to stop there. That's why. It leaves traces, but it's valid to stop there. So it's not the real purification. The real purification will eradicate all the bulk and the traces of the najasa. Real purification is going to lift the religious impurity and is going to eradicate the physical filth. So the replacement of those is for the replacement for lifting the impurity is tayammum. And the replacement for lifting or removing the filth is istinja by wiping. So, lifting impurity, removing filth. What replaces those? Or what looks like them? What looks like those first two? It always goes back to the first two. Lifting impurity, removing filth. Or what replaces those two? Or what looks like those two? What looks like those two? Refreshing your wudu, making wudu on top of wudu. Because it's not lifting any impurity.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah.
Doing ghusl for Jumu'ah when you don't need a ghusl. Because it's not lifting any impurity. So it looks like what you do to lift impurity. But it doesn't lift impurity because there's no impurity to lift. Or what? Like a Muslim man has a Jewish or Christian wife and she finished menstruating. She needs to do a ghusl before he can be intimate with her. But she's a kafirah and her intention is invalid. So how does this work? This is a case where what she does looks like a ghusl. She has to. And then she will be lawful for him. Or a woman wants to get into the state of ihram for hajj or umrah, but she's menstruating. Still sunnah for her to do a ghusl even though she's menstruating. So someone will be confused here. How's that? She's menstruating. How's she going to do a ghusl? And say, do you know the definition of purification? What looks like them? So she's just going to do what looks like ghusl. It's going to be rewardable for her, sunnah for her to do it, despite her menstruation. So all of that is purification. Using water for what looks like purification will not remove the purifying power of the water.
Well,
Well, sorry. No. That statement's too broad. Sorry. Using water for, I need to be more limited what I'm saying, sorry. Using water for refreshing wudu will not take away the purifying power of the water. Using water for sunnah ghusl will not remove the purifying power of the water. As for the kafirah who took a ghusl, you can't use that water. But she had to. Whenever you have to use that water, you can't use it again. That's the rule. Make it easier for you. Anytime you had to use the water, then it's unusable if it's a little bit. Did the Jewish or Christian wife have to do the ghusl for her husband to be intimate with her?
Sorry, say that one more time.
Did the Jewish or Christian wife have to do the ghusl for her husband to be intimate with her?
You just mentioned that you just didn't you just mention that she does?
Yes. The
Yeah.
answer is yes. Therefore, you cannot use that water because she had to use it. This
Oh,
is the
okay.
rule.
Yeah, yeah.
Another example. A child who's not obligated to pray, 7, 8, 9 years old. He's not obligated to pray, but he wants to pray. Does he have to make wudu to pray? For his prayer to be valid?
Um, be interesting to know.
Yes. Because wudu is a condition for prayer, even for a child. It's a condition for prayer, for the validity of prayer, not the obligation of prayer. Child's not obligated, but for the prayer
Hmm.
to be valid, needs to make a wudu. So then he had to use that water. Then you can't use it. That's the way you can know if it's used or not. Yani, if it's purifying or not
Hmm. Hmm.
anymore. The question is, did he have to use it? If the answer is yes, then you can't use it.
Hmm.
When you make a ghusl for Friday, do you have to? The answer is no. It's sunnah, according to the Shafi'i school.
Yeah, yeah.
So then you can use that water again, still purifying. When you already had wudu and you wanted to make wudu, you wanted to refresh it and make wudu on top of your wudu, do you have to refresh it? For example, sunnah to have wudu before every prayer, to make wudu before every prayer, even sunnah prayer. Every time before you pray is sunnah to make wudu. So, do you have to? No. So then, whenever you use the water in such a way that you don't have to, you can use it again. Like that. So, there's a dead Muslim. He needs a ghusl. So you gave him a ghusl. Can you use that water for wudu afterwards?
No.
No, because you had to use that water. That's the rule. And of course, we're talking about a little bit of water, never a lot. A lot of water will never have the judgment of being used. You can use a lot of water over and over and over and over and over again. Okay. Any question?
No, no, that's clear. Clearly defined. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Continue, please.
Thank you. It says, however, it is no longer purifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. It says, in this case, the place is affected by the water, i.e., the place becomes tahir.
Yeah.
However, if that water
In
is
this case, the place is affected by the water. We talk about removing najasa with a little bit of water. In this case, the place is affected by the water, i.e., the place becomes tahir. Meaning what? The place was cleared. For example, let's say it was undetectable filth in the first place.
Hmm.
You just knew it was there, but there's no trace of najasa in the first place. So you pour water over it. Then it's pure. Meaning the runoff. The runoff water is pure. As long as it didn't change or get heavier. Whereas, if you had that undetectable najasa and you put it into a little bit of water, you contaminated all the water. Go ahead.
Just trying to think in what instance it would be the case where, I mean, I'm assuming it may be the case with urine, in instances where you pour water over area where you may not be able to see. In sorry, dried urine. I swear, I should be specific. Would that be the instance where, I mean, just trying to think, in what instance would you pour water over an area where you? Okay, no, sorry, no, I understand. No, that's clear. Sorry. Yeah, sorry, I answered my own question.
Okay.
Um, it says, however, if that water is changed by the najas filthy place, it becomes najas filthy. In this case, the water is affected by the najasa. Yeah, clear.
Uh-huh.
It says, if the
Yes.
little, yeah.
Go ahead.
It says, if the little water removed the najasa in one wash, and the najasa neither remained a separate, distinguishable entity, nor did it change the water in color, taste, odor, or weight, then that water used to remove the najasa remains pure, but is no longer purifying. It is used water.
Yeah, that's what we said.
Yeah,
We've explained all of this already.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
It says, consider the case of one having a drop of wine on one's hand and pouring water to clear it. If the najasa was removed with this one wash without the water being changed by the wine, then the wine did not remain a separate entity distinguishable from the water. Then the water used, even if little, is pure but no longer purifying. Yeah, clear,
Yeah, in this
clear.
case, the water dispersed the najasa. Hmm.
Cool. It says, if it was a cat hair instead of a drop of wine, and one removed it by pouring water, then this little water containing the cat hair as a separate entity becomes najas filthy itself or being in contact with a with the najasa, even though the cat hair did not change any of the attributes of the water. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's still distinguishable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. Yep. Clear. It says, moreover, if the little water poured on the najasa to remove it did not completely remove the najasa in one pour, then the water used in this first pour is judged as najas filthy water.
Then the water used in this first pour is judged as najis, filthy water. Moreover, if the little water poured on the najasa to remove it did not completely remove the najasa in one pour, yeah, correct. Meaning, it's a condition that the spot is cleared. We talk about. We want to know what's the judgment of the runoff water. So if the spot itself is not cleared, then the runoff water is contaminated, even if it didn't change, because it's a little bit of water that came in contact with
Yeah, yeah, okay,
najasa
yeah.
that stayed firm.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
SubhanAllah, I find it interesting that I can't see one place in this section where it has said that we're talking about the water that's collected after, but we know that's what they're saying.
Yes,
We're referring to the collected water afterwards, but it doesn't, I don't think I saw the word collected once.
or just runoff. Even if you didn't recollect it, just whatever is has dispersed.
Hmm.
That's what we're talking about. So, yani, if I have najasa here, and then I poured water, and the water hit the spot and then ran down. So this is what we're talking about, the runoff.
Okay, yeah, yeah, okay, sorry, the runoff, as you said, yeah, yeah.
Nah.
Okay, cool. Okay. Bismillah, chapter 11.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, tayammum.
Yeah.
Tayammum is a big chapter. You see tayammum from the outside. What is it? Wiping the face and hands with soil. Seems maybe like should be brief. And I think even what's here is brief. But tayammum is really a big, big, big chapter of fiqh and requires a lot of study to master it. Go ahead.
It says, chapter 11, dry purification, tayammum. It says, to be in a state of tahara, one uses water to perform wudu and ghusl.
Yeah.
It
That's
says,
good.
however, yeah, thank you. However, one may need to perform tahara, yet not find water,
Mm-hmm.
or may have water but still be harmed if one uses it.
Mm-hmm.
In these cases, the person performs dry purification, tayammum, as the author said.
Okay, so he gave two reasons why you're gonna make tayammum. Either because you can't find water or because you can't use it. That's correct. Either you can't find it or you can't use it. You can't use it means you have it, but you can't use it. Why? Because it's harmful to you, for example. No.
Yeah. It says, if
But
one,
behind both of those is a lot of talk. When we say you can't find water, then what does it mean to not find it? It implies that you should have looked for it, for example. So then this raises the question, do you know if there's even any water around or not? And if you do, where is it? Is it close or is it far? And if you don't, then you don't know if there's water around. Then do you have to look for it? So all this talk here. And if you can't use it, which means there's a harm involved, then what is that? Well, it could be you're afraid it's going to kill you, or you're going to lose the ability to use your limb, or it's going to give you ulcers, open sores, or you are afraid just to get sick, even not die though, just to get sick, or you're already sick and you're going to get sicker, or you're not going to get sicker, it was going to hurt more, for example. So much talk here. And can you rely on your own self or you need a doctor? Yeah. So there's talk here. Go ahead.
yeah, yeah. I recall hearing some details about in terms of finding the water and finding a place of elevation and then looking in
Yeah, if you're
specific
going to look for
direction.
the water, then I think it's going to come here.
Okay,
If it doesn't come, I'll mention it for you, inshallah.
okay, thank you. Um, it says if one needs to pray, but one is in the state of ritual impurity, hadath, and one cannot find water or will be harmed upon using it,
Mhm.
one performs dry purifications,
So
tayammum.
there's restated for us two reasons why you need to make tayammum. Can't find water or can't use water.
Mm,
And there's still some cases that are annexed to one of these two. Annexed. Like, for example, you have water, but you need it for your thirst. So it's like you can't find it. Like you are in the desert. You're going to make wudu now and die of thirst later? Or you're going to make tayammum now and drink water later? So it's like you can't find it, but you have it right there. So there's cases more, but those are the two basic cases. Can't find water, can't use water. Boils down to those. Go ahead.
okay. It says explanation from the author saying one performs tayammum if one cannot find water. It is understood that if one performs dry purification as tayammum because one does not have water, one's tayammum is invalid unless one first has sought the water. Ah, okay. Hmm.
Yeah, you need to look for it first. So that it says here from the author saying one performs tayammum if one cannot find water. It is understood that if one performs Tayammum, because one does not have water, one's tayammum is invalid unless one first has sought the water. Uh, yeah, but this means he doesn't know that there isn't any. He doesn't know that there isn't any. If he knows that there isn't any, he doesn't have to look for it because that will be futile. And the religion does not command us with futility. When you know there isn't any water, then you can just make tayammum. This talk here means that he doesn't know that there isn't any. So he has to look for it. Yes. Go ahead.
It says, so one must first seek the water, then, if one does not find it, one performs the dry purification.
Yeah, so he needs to seek it first. First question is, why does he need to seek it? Answer is because he doesn't know that there isn't any.
Hmm.
So then he needs to look. Because Allah said in the Quran, فَإِن لَمْ تَجِدُوا مَاءً فَتَيَمَّمُوا. If you don't find water, then make tayammum. Ash-Shafi'i said, it can't be said that he didn't find it unless he looked for it. So then he must seek, he must search for it because he doesn't know there isn't any. So how does he do so? How he does so is since he's looking for it, when we say here also he's looking for water, I just told you it means. This means he doesn't know there isn't any. This also means he doesn't know that there is water somewhere. Because if he does know that there is water somewhere, we're not going to say he's looking for it. We're going to say he's going to go get it. Right? If he knows there's water somewhere, like there's a creek somewhere, you know it. You know the creek. So then we're not going to say you don't know if there's water around. You're going to say, you know, there's water. There's a creek, such and such place. So what you're going to do, you're going to look for it? No, you're going to go get it. It's different. Looking for it means you don't know there isn't any. You don't know if it is, you don't know if it isn't. So you're going to look for it. If you know there isn't any, you don't have to look. If you know there is some, then we need to see how far it is.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So if there is some and it's close, you got to go get it. Not look for it, get it, fetch it. So if you don't know if there is or isn't, then you're going to look for it. So how do you do that? Then, in this case, you only have to go as far as rescue distance. Rescue distance is as far as your companions can hear you if you were to call out to them. While they are busy with pitching tents and pots, they can hear you over pitching tents and being busy with pots. So that's not very far. How you need to look? Well, you need to cover the four directions: north, east, south, and west in this rescue range. How do you do that? If you can climb a tree or a wall or something and look around, then that's enough. Yani, the rule is that your vision needs to cover the rescue range. Not that you need to take footstep in every single spot of the rescue range. Your vision needs to cover the whole rescue range. So if you can achieve that by climbing a tree, climbing a wall, and looking and then verifying that there's no water in rescue range, then that's enough. Or if the land is level and there's no obstruction like bushes or walls, or the like dips or dunes. If there's nothing to obstruct your vision, then it's enough just to look in all the four directions and let your vision cover the rescue range. Then you verify that there's no water, and then you make tayammum. Or else you have to actually go into the four directions. But how much? Just so that your vision will cover the rescue range. So it's pretty easy. That's clear?
Yeah, yeah. I just wonder if there's been any estimations around what the rescue range would be.
Yes, there are estimations of what the rescue range is. I
Okay.
just gave you one, which is the range at which your companions can still hear you if you call out for help, with their being busy with pitching tents and dealing with pots. So that you can, if you can conceive that, then you could know it. Like if you were camping and then say, guys, I'm gonna go look for some water. So you went so far and said, they can still hear me from here. After a certain distance, you might say, they're not gonna hear me, for example. So then you'll be out of the rescue range. Some said it's as far as an arrow shot. And also some gave cubits. But the cubits now I'm doubtful. Maybe they're going to come in what we're reading.
I think I can see 3,000 cubits, but I'm not sure if that's the same topic.
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Uh, it says also one performs tayammum instead of using dry purification. Oh, sorry, instead of one. Oh, sorry. It says also one performs tayammum instead of using water to perform tahara if using water harms one.
And also, before this, do you have to look again? Let's say you looked for water, you didn't find any, you make tayammum. Do you have to look again? The answer is, as long as you're not sure that there's no water, you have to keep looking at each time, for each prayer time. Because you say to yourself, perhaps I missed it the first time. So as long as you deem it possible that there is water, you have to look again for the next prayer.
Ah, okay.
And look
It's
again for the next prayer.
until that point. Okay, sorry. Yeah. It's until that point where you deem it impossible.
Yeah, until
Yeah.
you are sure there's no water here. You might be sure the first time, or you might not be sure the first time. And you give priority to the greenery, the spots of greenery when you are
Mm.
looking, and also birds. No. Also, one
Um,
performs tayammum instead of using water to perform pure tahara if using water harms one. Yes, go ahead.
It says, so if using water to perform tahara will cause one's death or damage an organ, or lengthen the recovery time from an illness,
Hmm.
or cause a disfigurement in any of one's apparent body parts, like the hands or the face, then one performs tayammum, even if one has water.
Yeah, this is the
Mm.
Shafi'i school here. Or cause a disfigurement in any of one's apparent body parts. And so the Shafi'i school didn't say absolutely any disfigurement, absolutely. Rather, an ugly disfigurement
Oh,
in
okay.
any of one's apparent body parts, like the hands and face. It says here disfigurement. I think that's a fair word, disfigure, which is ugliness, an ugliness. What is less than an ugliness, though, is not an excuse, such as dry skin. If the water gives you dry skin only, then that's not enough. even on your face, yani, and your arms. And even maybe, yani, more than dry skin. Could be maybe make even give you flaky skin slightly. Still, this is not an ugly disfigurement. But if it gives you ulcers, for example, open sores, then you have an excuse not to use it. Go ahead. Like the hands and face, yeah. Then one performs tayammum, even if he has water, yeah. So either he's the one who has the sickness or the water is what's dangerous. We should probably stop here.
I was just gonna say, yeah, yeah.